You did say, actually, maybe a month or two ago, you said there was a rut and you felt like the motivation was going a little bit. So what caused that, and what's taken you out? Because you definitely seem to be on the other side of that.
Yeah. Again, I mean, those ruts are always going to be there. There's always going to be times where you go, oh my God, what's it all worth it? You know, what's the point? So I've been in up and down rut probably for the last 2.5 years. And that's probably, there's personal stuff behind that and work related, because I've gone from having a hobby, because I only started doing art, 6 years ago? Complete career change. And I've gone from doing this kind of hobby, which this high trajectory of becoming more well known, I suppose, but only in a very small concentrated area, having some good publicity around my work, which someone told me yesterday was deserved, so I shouldn't thank them. It's actually deserved, so that's nice. But that was really hard for my mental health, and I think when I did stuff for ITV, which was great, really lovely project, but I found all of that hard because all of a sudden people were contacting me who perhaps, I don't know, I'm in this art world all of a sudden at the age of 44, and I'm surrounded by lots of people who are younger, vibrant, don't have quite so many commitments, and zooming ahead. And I just had this complete self-doubt of my age, my appearance, what I do. I can't do everything 100% because I've got the children. So that's kind of a rut. And then because all of those things bog you down, sometimes it's hard to get going and see the wood through the trees, really. But this last year, I had a kind of burnout after the ITV thing, because again, it's like Instagram, I couldn't cope with it all, trying to stay on top of all of that. So I had a complete burnout. And I just thought, I've got to pare this back. Is it worth me carrying on? I don't know. And I just took a bit of time out, and then promised myself to slow down and only do projects that bring joy to me, which is tricky when you're trying to do the financial aspect as well and bring some money in. And then COVID, obviously I had quite a few jobs lined up and they all stopped.
Yeah.
And then I fell off my bike and had a brain injury. So that stopped me again, even more. But that, although was pretty traumatic, forced me to slow down some more. And I think I've always been somebody who's thrown myself into one thing after the next, trying to fill a void in my life, I suppose. Just going without actually stopping and being introspective. So it's been a good thing. I've had to slow down. The work I did for you guys was the first thing I did after my accident. And instead of going all gung-ho, I took my time over it. I'd just do one layer a day. And actually I was like, oh, actually this is quite good if I slow down. I quite like it. So that, and then a couple of other little bits as well, and learning to, and I think, but I rely heavily on the challenges. So obviously you guys contacted me, and then I had Simon at Floating Classroom, the electric barge, who contacted me. So I'm not putting myself out there. So I think when I've got a challenge, then I will rise to it. So that kind of gets me out of the rut, having something to work towards. And then I think that lifts me, and then I throw myself back into doing something else for myself. I'm kind of, bang on the head was good for many, many reasons. I've had lots of life-changing decisions, and I'm feeling very liberated and just positive about the future. So hence I've kind of been able to contact some places and people. I mean, like the theatre job, I'm like, no clue what I'm going to do. And there will be times when I go, oh God, but I know that I'll work it out. So, sorry, that was really another really long answer to your question. Because this is the other thing, is my attention is not great since my accident. So my brain's a bit like Google, so I'm sorry about that.
I think not. I think this is why I wanted to do and create these kind of interview sessions that we're doing, because as we've said already, I think there's more to, you create a piece of work, whether it's 2D, 3D, whatever it is, but there's more to it than the thing you literally see. There's the story behind it, who that person was at the time and what they created.
Yeah.
And so hearing these stories is what gives that, I think, some of those extra layers. So when someone sees a piece of your work, it's not just the thing which I can appreciate and kind of make a choice over. It's what went into that, and who was that person at the time. Which I think just adds these extra layers, because that ultimately, it's not just the thing, it's the artist as well,
Yeah. No, that's true. In fact, I've been reading a lot of the School of Life books recently, which is Alain de Botton, sort of psychologist, philosophy, all kind of going back to my roots where I did behavioural science degree, and really enjoying it. And he uses a lot of arts as metaphors and analogies to explain points. And one of the things that I read was, and this was actually really evident when obviously I went to the Tracy Emin exhibition at Royal Academy last month. And I thought, yeah, absolutely. And a piece of art is all about not what it looks like, it is the mood and the feeling and the emotion behind the artist when they created it. Which I was like, yeah, okay, I get that. And especially when my work is abstract, and I sort of said jokingly to somebody once that it's not all a load of shit shapes. So there's a lot of planning behind it, a lot of thought, a lot of research. Maybe, I don't know, maybe planning is not the right word, but there's inspiration, and I will become a walking Wikipedia about the subject matter that I'm working on. History, architecture, spaces, objects, and I really get to grips with it all, and then it filters through as a triangle, but that triangle will have a story, and has been inspired by, I don't know, like a building that I've seen on the London skyline or something. So I think maybe this kind of ties in with what we were just talking about. It is the artist's backstory and their personality is quite important, really. I mean, the work you can see behind me, that was from my exhibition called Underpin, which was all about rebuilding and strength and from my accident, and it was kind of taking things a little bit away from the commercial work that I usually do and just studio time. And it was all about the support I was getting from friends and my sort of regrowth and building the foundations back up, which is really, really appropriate for my life at the moment. But the shapes that all derived from architectural plan shapes. So, I mean, everything's done on computer nowadays, but you used to get little stencils. In fact, you still can, stencils of all the shapes and stuff and the symbols for architectural buildings and planning and blueprints. So, and then the names of all of these have got supportive names. So yeah, you're right. Maybe who I am is important.
I remember you said before when you worked with us, you talked about that process of looking for inspiration from kind of the subject matter.
Yeah.
As you described. Is there anything more kind of cultural in your background or life experiences as well that has guided this particular style?
Not especially. I mean, it's more, I don't know, more accidental maybe. I mean, I used to absolutely love Art Deco architecture and modernist stuff. And Scandinavian and Nordic stuff. So I'm kind of that's sort of my thing. So I guess there is that sort of inspiration. I mean, my art is like GCSE level. I stopped at B, and that was it. And I haven't done anything until I did this adult learning printmaking course. And the reason why I joke, the reason why I do abstract stuff is because I can't draw. Or if I can, it's GCSE standard. However, I did do a live class recently, and I was like, oh no, yeah, okay, you can draw. But I did this course, and I say course, it was like one afternoon a week at Adult Learning Centre, and people predominantly use the space for studio space. So it was just experimenting. And they were doing the screen printing, and there's all nowadays it's exposure units and photographic stuff. And I wanted to get back to doing things from scratch, so the traditional Japanese method of paper cutting your stencils and drawing them out, and again, quite architectural. So, you know, I've got my compass, I've got my ruler and everything, and I just totally pare it back. And also because when I fell pregnant with my third child, and I couldn't go back to doing this workshop, so I needed to do stuff I could do from home, and I haven't got exposure units. So actually, from a practical point of view, it was great. So the shapes and the prints I produce are very geometric, abstract, I suppose. So, and I guess that influences from the my love of architecture and simplicity, I think.